Okay, so yes, so we have generally, you know what we are about. I started a group called World Dance for Humanity in 2010. And now it's a wonderful community in Santa Barbara, and also people all over the place are with us now, thanks to Zoom. So yeah, since 2010, we have been having classes. It's World Dance. We do classes, we do dances from around the world, from different countries, and also a lot of fun rock and roll. We just have a wonderful adventure every day. And since COVID started, so on March 19th of 2020, we began our Zoom classes. And we didn't know how long they would last, just like Catherine with this format. But we ended up doing them, yes, every day, 7 days a week. So 7 days a week since last March, we have had classes every single day, 10 in the morning every day. And all kinds of people join our class, people who have never danced before, people who have limited physical abilities, people who are sitting down, people who have special needs. And then people who are dancers and love to dance, everybody, a full spectrum of people. So I try to keep the dances simple enough so everybody can follow, but also the music is interesting enough that we can be doing it every day and be stimulated every day and connect to the world every day. So we'll do a little bit of that later. I wanted to give, usually when I give a talk, it's about World Dance for Humanity and our work in Rwanda. We have a big project there. We've been working there for 8 years with now 12,000 people. That is our community. That is our family in Rwanda. We know these people. We're in touch with our team there every day, 7 days a week. And it's a very vibrant and passionate relationship and very direct relationship we have with these people. So all of our dancers and our donors, people who are dancers, people who are not dancers, people who just donate, all of these people, we are all really in a heartfelt way connected to these individuals in Rwanda. So we just, for example, Mother's Day, people gave donations to buy mattresses, which we do once a year for the people who have been sleeping their whole lives on the ground. And we organize it so that we buy mattresses there in Rwanda. That's just an example of a thing we did. And everybody has named their mattress. So when the mattress goes to a person in Rwanda, it has a name. Like I could name my mattress Catherine after your Catherine, and the person receiving the mattress will know that this is for a woman named Catherine. And so there is this eternal connection that we have with these folks. So it's a very, very special situation we have where we can participate in so many different ways, through dancing, through donations, through going to Rwanda, through taking place in in-person activities here. So I often talk more deeply about the Rwanda work, but I wanted today also to give a little bit of a personal talk about how I got to this, because I know by definition, the people on this call are all people who have an awareness of the meaning and the importance of gratitude and how it's the key element in our lives in many ways. And I know you all have that orientation. You have all had some wonderful teachers be presenting in this course and in your lives. So I just wanted, because we're all of like minds, I think this is a community of like minds. I wanted to share my particular way that I got to this, which I've never done before, really. So Genevieve, my assistant, who is with me, had partner in crime, and she's with me also 7 days a week. Genevieve is going to share the PowerPoint that I just put together for this talk today. I've never given this PowerPoint ever before, but I thought it would be good to illustrate a little bit of this. So I'll quickly go through the journey in my life that brought me to this place of being able to combine passion and gratitude and make it into something that helps people survive and thrive in this life. So Genevieve, let's start out and see how it goes here. All righty. So yeah, so the title is Waking Up to Gratitude, because I do that. And I'm sure most of you do that now. You have an awareness that our life is so incredibly precious. We are here in a way just for a few moments, relatively. It could be for another few days. It could be for decades to come. but really just what you have is this day. And that's very much my feeling when I wake up in the morning. I'm thinking, my body is still working. I'm still breathing. My eyes, I can see, are working. My ears, my senses, my body. And I have this whole day. What can I do to make a change? What can I do to affect change and to alleviate the suffering of other people in this day? So that's sort of my mantra, and it's been that way for a long time. And these slides will sort of show you how that came to be. So next, Genevieve. Okay, so so what I'm going to do, I realized in thinking about this talk for you that that there are teachers. I was thinking of how did I get to this point in which I feel gratitude every morning and in this most profound way. And it really lasts me all day long. It's basically with me every minute of the day. And so I wanted to explore sort of the teachers that brought me there. So Genevieve, go on. Yeah, are we going okay smoothly there? And this is my first teacher. This is Chris. This was the first love of my life and probably the biggest love of my life. I was 16. And he was an enlightened human being. Even at 16, he was reading Tibetan Book of the Dead, and very much his spirit was already very much transcendent. And I was following him and trying to follow that path. Be Here Now. Many of you will recognize this book cover right there. It was the book from Ram Dass, and it came out in 71. And it was right then all this came together for me, but it took me many decades really for it to all really sink in what Be Here Now means, which is we just have this moment, can't count on anything else. So appreciate this miracle of being alive right now, and then see what you can do with it. So that's Chris. He really started me. And then he had neuroblastoma. He had a cancer, and he passed away within a couple of years after this photo was taken. So that was the greatest love and the greatest loss, really. And that's the way I started out. So onward, Genevieve. So in my 20s, in my 30s, and in my 40s, for 8 years altogether through the 1980s and 1990s, I lived in Kosovo, in the former Yugoslavia. First, I went to do research as a young woman, and then I ended up, I was there about 4 years on and off in the 1980s when things were really tough. The Albanians and Serbians were at each other's throats. Yugoslavia was falling apart, which it did in 1991, 92. I was hired in 1993 by Oxfam to go back and try to mount an aid project in Kosovo, even though war was looming. But because I had lived there so long and spoke Albanian and Serbian, and I could really work deep in that place. And so I was hired to go back. So I ended up, Genevieve, next slide. So this was life there. So on the top left, that's me young. Actually, that's one of my first trips way up into the Rugovo Mountains, the gorge of Rugovo. And the woman sitting next to me is still a dear friend. And yeah, that was up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere in Rugovo. And that was life. It was a very rough and meager life out in the villages there. The woman on the top right is Ferida, who was the mother, the woman I lived with, her and her big family. I lived with a lot of the time. And she was an incredible, very religious Muslim woman, married to a coal miner, engaged marriage at the age of 14. But she was an extraordinary woman, one of my greatest teachers. On the bottom left, then this is as an aid worker. So this is later. This is now in the 1990s when I'm trying to talk Serbians and Albanians into rebuilding schools, fixing their schools, building wells for clean water and things like that. And then working on the bottom right, you see the women that I was working with. So these are Muslim women who had barely ever left their houses, but we were able to organize health education projects. So that was learning about what community means, to live in a community like the Albanians, like most people in developing countries, where when you wake up, your first thoughts are not about yourself. Your first thoughts are really about your community, your family, your extended family, and all the people around you. And that's how you live your life, not about self, but about community. So that was that big lesson. And also then how you do aid work and how you get really down deep with people and work to improve the situation. Okay. So most of you, of course, know Pema Chodron, and we could talk about, the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh stayed with us, and when I was at Berkeley, I lived with people that were his front people when he gave lectures. So Thich Nhat Hanh, I knew. Incredible force. But Pema, and yes, these people are wonderful guides in our lives. But Pema Chodron in particular, and this book, When Things Fall Apart, that's the book I picked up when relationships fell apart, when I had deep pain in my life, and the message was letting go, getting unstuck from the stories in our brains that make up what we think is our life, and how it's possible to let go and just be in the present moment, let go of things that are holding you down. So Pema, I have a compilation of all of the most poignant, potent messages from Pema that I have put together. If anybody would like it, I'm happy to send it to you. I have just put them all together, and the sort of guideposts for my life were from Pema Chodron. All righty. And then the other big lesson was from my son. So I'm a single mom with a one kid, and no relationship now. So for many years I've been alone, and my son now lives in Boston. But my son, if you see the middle picture, if you look really closely on his shirt, it's an emblem for Recovery Ranch. So my son, who was a fabulous young guy, and we had this amazing life living together in Kosovo when he was a kid, and many, many adventures around the world. And we had a fabulous time. But Jeremy got addicted to heroin in his the end of high school into just as he was starting college. Nobody knew about it. None of his friends were using, and I didn't know about it. So it was a couple of years in, and he became seriously addicted to heroin. Well, there's only one way, and so much so that we found this extraordinary place called Recovery Ranch in San Ynez, and Jeremy went there for 2 years. I barely saw him for 2 years, and I realized that when people are in that kind of addiction, it's a disease. It's something that you can't help them through necessarily. You can be there as support, but it's a journey they have to take. And so he did. Luckily, it saved his life to end up at Recovery Ranch in San Ynez for 2 years, and then that's what saved his life. And also, I realized then that I had to let go of him. So Jeremy, definitely the person most close to me in my whole life, and we had shared this incredible bond as he was growing up. And then I had to even let him go, because I didn't know if I would ever see him again, really, once he went down this spiral and then went to the ranch, and very little contact. And then I went back to Pema Chodron, and one day I realized that's the way it was going to be. And I took down the pictures of Jeremy off my wall, and I put up my map of Rwanda, which I'm looking at right now, which is still there, and realized that I couldn't keep holding on to him and just hoping that he would survive. I had to move on and do something with my life. And the thing that I could do most potently, most effectively, was this work in Rwanda. So that's Jeremy. He's now doing great. He's been sober 8 years. He's very, very active in AA. He's got lots of sponsees, has a great life, but it was a long, long, hard road. Okay. And then Rwanda. And so, yes, it's a passionate partnership indeed. As I was saying, we know these people very well, And through our team, our Rwandan team that we are in touch with every day, we feel connected to their lives. I'll talk more about the project in a few minutes, but it is extraordinary to open up your boundaries, open up your lives for, on the one hand, to the people in your community here, wherever you live, but also beyond, out into the larger world, and to be having an effect on people's lives every day, and that being such a driving force. So a huge gratitude goes to all of the people before and all of the people in Rwanda, because it's passion that lights my fire every day, and that's what I'm extremely grateful for. All right. And then there was this, if you can move, I don't know, Genevieve, it's a little hidden, maybe not for you guys. This was a movie in the 1950s with Audrey Hepburn, and it's called The Nun Story. And in one of the last scenes, she's speaking to Mother Superior, and the mother says, "Do good and disappear." And I later found out this was a quote from a woman named Geneviève de Goutet, who was a nurse in World War I, a French nurse, and she's the one who coined this phrase, but it has become my mantra, really. That is the basis of my life. Do good and disappear. Let go of who you are. It doesn't really matter. The ego that we construct, don't really need it anymore. We just need to get some good work done. And so that it's that movie and that moment that really epitomizes what I think is a good way to go in life. Okay, Genevieve? And then Buckminster Fuller, the designer, his daughter was my mentor at UCLA. And there is something that it takes different forms. People have considered this sort of a mystical idea. But for me, the law of attraction, I've learned in my later years that, and I take it from the students of Buckminster Fuller who use this term also, but that people need to follow their own paths. So my life is so much about engaging a community, bringing people toward World Dance for Humanity, toward our work in Rwanda, toward this supportive group of people where nobody needs to be alone. I'm always wanting to attract, I'm always feeling like putting out that light and bringing people toward us. And all of the people who are with me now, they're all doing the same thing. We're trying to bring people toward us, but I always have to remember that people are attracted to different things. Everybody hopefully has a passion for whatever it is in their community or somewhere else, or right in their own family, or the things that move and that move them along in their lives, and they need to take their own path. So whether it's toward World Dance for Humanity or something completely different, I feel a responsibility to help people find that thing that is so precious in their lives, that thing that is pushing them with passion every day. Because a lot of people are, just waiting for the next thing. Maybe 5 years down the road, this is going to happen and I'm going to retire, or I'm going to move there, or that's going to happen. I spent all day on Saturday with a woman who's 78, and she's in that dilemma. And I wanted to say, and I did say, we talked all day, and mainly saying that, life is right now. So make it simple, simplify your life, and find out where you can be solid and secure and not be worrying about things, so that you can focus outward. You can focus on outside your own life and taking care of yourself, and focus on other people. We have that luxury here, most of us, to be able to configure a situation in which we are pretty safe. We've got a safe place to live. We've got water. We've got food to eat. We've got shelter. We've got people in our lives. And with that, we are good to go. As I always say in our dance class, you've got these elemental things, which the majority of people in the world are having trouble getting those. About 10% of the people in the world are in extreme poverty. About 700 million people are in extreme poverty. But about half the people in the world are really having a hard time getting the basics they need to live. So it's putting out that light and see who is attracted to this idea. Okay. And then mom, of course, as far as my teachers go, more and more every year of my life, I'm 66, and every year I'm more aware of the gifts I got from my mom and my dad and family. But my mom in particular had this very light touch on life, not very philosophical, had very much rose-colored glasses on the world, and very much was about enjoying life. And she had great rhythm. She was a dancer. She gave me that, which was a huge gift. And Jeremy got it. My son got it too. So she gave that to us. But it was a great lesson to have a light touch on life. You are here for just a moment in relative terms. You are just on this little speck of cosmic dust called the earth. You are a sentient being for just a little while. You, in the greater scheme of things, you just have this moment. So have a light touch and make something magical happen. And that was my mom. All righty. I had to add one more. This is, I had to say, because penetrating the fourth wall is about Zoom. So when a few people on this call right now are in our Zoom class, and they can maybe speak to this, but when we started our Zoom class, we realized COVID was upon us. We were, most of us, isolating, sheltering at home. We started our class, and it was pretty weird for everybody because we're used to being in person every day. And we started this 10 a.m. class. And at the beginning, I felt weird too. I was in my living room, and I'm kind of dancing with my cats, and it felt kind of like cardboard. I couldn't feel the life. I couldn't feel people. I couldn't feel the people out there taking the class. And there started out being 20, 30, 40, then 50 people a day in our class. But when I was feeling this kind of a stilted, kind of dry, I wasn't feeling people. I was just there alone with my cats in my living room. I went back and I watched documentaries about Mr. Rogers, and there are some very good ones. And then, of course, the movie, The Neighborhood with Tom Hanks, which gets into it really well, really well. But I watched Mr. Rogers, and I thought all those years, those decades, he was able to penetrate the fourth wall. That is the television set, in his case, a camera and a television screen. He was able to penetrate, to get through it to kids all over the world and bring a message to them of self-worth and optimism and dealing with difficulty and all of those incredibly powerful messages. He was able to get through that fourth wall. And somehow by watching him do that, I kept watching him do it. And somehow it came to me, and pretty soon, within a week or so, I could feel the people on our call. So every day now in our Zoom class, and again, it's for dancers, it's for people who have never danced, people who just want to have company every day, or they come once a week or twice or 7 days, however they come, but we all can feel each other in the most incredible, intimate way. It is shocking. And there are still people who were in my in-person dance classes and said, oh, I just don't like Zoom. Oh, it just leaves me cold, But I think if you try it enough, if you get used to it, we completely are able to penetrate and permeate that wall. I mean, and a good example for us all is when you go to the movie theater, or you're watching a really engrossing movie on TV or a documentary, whatever. You're not thinking, I'm sitting here watching this on TV. You are deep in the story. You're inside of it. So it's that same principle on Zoom. We are not thinking, oh, I'm looking at this little screen and there's Janet and, whatever. That's not there at all. We feel each other. And through the music, we feel the world. We really feel the world. We're conscious of what's going on in the world and in our country. And we can viscerally feel it. We embody it every day, the love for each other, the support we feel for each other in our world dance community. New people join every day and we welcome them. And it's this tangible, this embodied support and care for each other that is actual every day when we see each other. And then whatever is going on in the news, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning after realizing, oh my God, I've got a bed, I've got a roof. What's with that? How did I luck out? How did I get in this situation where I have shelter, I have these things. I then look at BBC and I check the headlines and then look into some of what's going on and listen to what's going on in the world. So every day in Zoom class, for example, this week, of course, we've been dancing dances from Israel, from Palestine, really going deep into what that conflict is right now, what has happened, what is the violence, and feeling it, embodying it, dancing it, which we're going to do here today a little bit too. The week before was we were doing a lot of Indian dances because of the surge of COVID in that country, or it could be something going on in our country. It could be a hurricane. It could be, you know, whatever is going on in our country or the world, we are dancing it. And in that way are witnessing, not alone by ourselves, reading the news or listening to the news, not alone, just philosophically, passively listening and being upset by the news. We are feeling it. We are touching these other cultures. And the way we're able to deal with what's going on in the world is knowing that at least we're doing something. So I find that's another big lesson. It's taken me many years to learn, but it's really hard to listen to what's going on in the world every day, whether it's Myanmar or Belarus or Central America, whatever is going on, and now in the Middle East again, whatever is going on, it's hard to listen to, but it's easier. You can do it if you know at least you're doing something to remedy the situation somewhere. And our effect in Rwanda is so deep and so direct and so immediate that it allows us to be able to listen to the heartbreak in the rest of the world. All right, so Genevieve, please, let's move through these now. So World Dance, we have a class, we have a community, we have a cause, and this is who we are. And let's go through these pretty quickly, Genevieve. So this is our club. Last Saturday, we started our classes for the first time outside. So now we have Saturday morning classes on the beach at 9:45 at Chase Palm Park across from the beach. This photo is from last Saturday from our first class. We will continue Zoom 6 days a week. So Saturdays in person, all the other days on Zoom. All righty, go forward, please. All right, and also in our World Dance community, it's not just about dancing. So there's a lot going on in our community. Part of that is dance outreach. We dance with folks who are unable to move, unable to dance. We work with folks with special needs, that big photo right there. We go out to memory units, Alzheimer's units. And as you all know, it's music that brings people alive, music that awakens people's minds. So when we go to these retirement homes, it's all about swing. And we are singing with folks. We're not performing for them. We are dancing with them, singing with them. And then in the photo down below, the Janie in the red shirt there, that's at Hillside House. So that's a really important outreach to folks who are extreme special needs, and we're able to rock and roll. Then there's no swing dancing. Then it's all about rock and roll, and we have a great time dancing there. All right, next. And also volunteerism is really important in our community. So for years we have been at the West Side Boys and Girls Club. We are the volunteer group that help these kids every day after school. Obviously COVID has interrupted that. This is Jackie, one of our dancers, one of my right hand world dancers, and working with the kids. And then and that's just it's a huge part of what we do, and something that everybody can be part of, working one-on-one with kids who are failing the 4th grade, failing the 5th grade, who don't have the basic skills to move on. They're right here in Santa Barbara, and there's a whole group of kids who are just barely making it academically and socially, and have incredible challenges. And so we're there with those kids. We also take part in things that happen in our town. So the Women's March and other anything happening in Santa Barbara, we are there. And usually our job, if there's a big demonstration, if there's 1,000 people or 5,000 people or whatever there is, our job is to get everybody together, get them moving, get them mobilized, and get them feeling a common spirit. That's what we can do. Martin Luther King Day, that's the photo you see with our backs to us in our jingles. That's dancing, as we do every year with the Martin Luther King commemoration. So those are just some of the things we do around town. All right. And then we also have great adventures. So the big photo there is Bali. That was a few years ago. Camping, going, meeting at the beach, doing things together. Up the left, of course, is doing our Queen dances with Queen Nation. 2019, we sort of did flash mobs all over the place with Queen dances. We just have a great time. Right now, we're doing a lot of going out on the pier in Santa Barbara, getting together, dancing, putting on big music and having a great time, just engaging people and getting everybody to kind of wake up and move. That's kind of our job. All right, next. So Thriller is huge. Thriller, we do we've been doing it since 2010. It's, as you can see, that's the Courthouse Sunken Gardens, one of the most beautiful spots in the world. And we do this called Thrill the World with the rest of the world. The last Saturday before Halloween, people do Thriller at the same moment in time. We raise money with it, and that money goes to our education work in Rwanda. And then we do 2 weeks of flash mobs. And people who have never danced before come and do this. Everybody loves it because you dress up and you leave your ego. You let your ego just fly away because you have an awakening as just becoming otherworldly. And it's wonderful to be able to dance as not you, but as egoless, and so that's a lot of fun. Okay. Rwanda. So again, we are that's a little tiny country. It's kind of, it's next to Congo and Uganda and Tanzania, Kenya, and Burundi, right in that little spot in East Africa. We're working with 12,000 people in 28 cooperatives. Okay. And this is us in Rwanda. This is kind of the vibe. We go there once a year, except during COVID, and take people who are rough and ready to really give it up. And the biggest requirement of the people who travel with us is being able to rise to the emotional level of the people that we visit, because they are so charged up when we come, these communities. They know that we have helped them. Like during COVID, we were able to deliver $50,000 worth of emergency food aid, because during COVID in developing countries, famine is the biggest problem. And this was our problem in Rwanda. But we've done so many things with these communities. So when we come, there is great celebration, and there's great need to rise to the occasion of these human beings. Next. So this is our program. We'll just go quickly. It's a multifaceted program. It's not just one thing. It's not just literacy or micro enterprise or water or health or agriculture. It's working from the basis of a community. They work together. These are Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa, the warring factions of Rwanda before, the warring ethnic groups have come together in these cooperatives and are struggling to stay alive. So first, each family gets a goat. Every family that we work with, among 12,000 people, they all get a goat to start with. Next. And the cows go not to individual families, but to the whole community, to the cooperative. And the milk is shared, the manure is shared, the care of the animal is shared. And by the way, all these people, these animals are precious family members or community members. So these are vegetarians. I mean, if people want to know about that part of it, these are very precious animals. And all of our cows that we give have all had calves, and the donors of the cows get to name the cows, and that's happening all the time. Okay. We sponsor, altogether so far, we have sponsored 380 students, most of those in high school, about 70 kids through college. We go and we get to meet them when we go there, and otherwise we exchange letters, of course, some videos, but it's an extraordinary partnership. Otherwise, these kids have no chance to go to school. So all of our dancers pretty much are sponsors of one or more students, and many of the people now from all over the world are helping us sponsor these students. By the way, we have a number of students on our waiting list right now, and their school year is going to start again in July. So if anybody is interested in sponsoring a student, I can tell you all about it. But in fact, I will send a bunch of links after this, Catherine can send you the links to our education program and all of this information. Okay. And we have 19 so far community-run businesses that we have helped them start. And this is not our ideas. These are ideas that come from the community. They work on this idea for a year or more, conceptualize it, plan it, and we help them implement it. So a bakery is maybe $4,000 to begin, or $3,000 to the cafe. We have a craft business, a few of those in different costs. We just started beekeeping. We have 2 juice making businesses now. So that, and Genevieve, who you're not seeing, but is running this PowerPoint right now, she's in the middle there when we were visiting with Tuyubaka Cooperative and their extraordinary craftswomen. And there's Naima with the bakery, and there's Deborah in our sewing project with the Twa, the pygmies. We have a fabulous group of pygmies that have really come a long way. They wanted to be seamstresses, and they are. Okay. We also do all kinds of community support. We offer things. So those other things were sustainable things like education and farming and these businesses. But we also deliver help when we need to, such as the emergency food aid, which we did this year during COVID. Also bicycles, also mattresses. Also, these are reusable menstrual pads now our co-ops are making, because imagine these women there have never had anything except rags and leaves to use, which is a huge factor in their lives. And now they have these beautiful reusable flannel pads. So those are just some of the things that we do on an ongoing basis to help out. And everybody gets to name the mattresses, name the goats, name the cows, name the bike. So as you can see in that caption there, this bike was given by a man named Ed Meador, and he named it after his wife, Tammy Lynn. So that bike is known in the co-op as Tammy. And everything we give has a name so that there's a direct connection with the donor, with the people here. Okay. We also do big training, which is a huge part of our program: leadership, business, veterinary, agriculture. So this gives the people the resources, the skills, the knowledge to take themselves forward. So our entire principle is they are lifting themselves out of poverty. We are just standing with them, giving them some resources, but they are doing the heavy lifting, lifting themselves out of poverty. And this is how it happens. Okay. And this is it. There's Genevieve on the right there in her black and white dress. I'm over on the left. And this is one of our student leadership trainings. This is taking these folks, these young people who had no hope of going to high school, no hope in the world. And college was not even a dream, not on the radar whatsoever. And all those folks, there were about 200 people at that training of student leadership, helping these young folks, because they're going to be the leaders. They're the ones going to be responsible in starting now and into the future of leading their communities out of poverty. So that's what that's about. Okay. That's it for the PowerPoint. So I hope that wasn't too overwhelming or too much talking. But if you want, we can maybe, Catherine, we could talk for maybe 5 minutes here and then spend 10 minutes dancing, or 5 minutes,
however you want to do it, Janet.
I think we're sort of talking now. So I've been talking a lot. I'd like to hear other people talk a little bit, and then we can get up and dance a little bit.
Okay, it's 10:45. You've got 15. Just so
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Thank you.
So does anybody have any? Let's open up. So unmute whoever, and let's see